All right, guys. So I am going to share a situation that has been going on TikTok over the last few days. This is in relation to the EBT food stamp conversation. And since it is November 1st, as we know, there are a lot of people that are not going to get those EBT cards reloaded today. And it is going to cause quite a bit of chaos, which is Democrats' favorite thing. They love the chaos. Any situation that causes total disruption and causes anarchy and causes people to lose their mind and to blame pretty much everybody but them. They love it. This is their jam. This is their thing that they absolutely love. But there's been this situation unfolding on TikTok over the last few days surrounding this woman who is now known as the peanut butter toast food stamp lady. And that's going to make sense in just a minute. But she gave her thoughts on this whole situation, which in my opinion were particularly mild thoughts compared to what a lot of people have been saying about how EBT and food stamps should be used. But it's the reaction to what she said that I think really demonstrates just how far off a cliff that we have gotten. Not just in how we view how we should use government programs, how we should monitor these things and the kind of restrictions that are appropriate for these programs and how we make sure that these programs are not being abused, but in the fact that it just really seems like we can't have a productive conversation about these things. Because there's the whole side of people that think that everybody that needs these programs and everybody that is using this assistance is on it for a good reason, and there's nobody that would use these unless they had to. And then there's the side of the conversation that we're like, we recognize that there's a lot of people that actually need these things and we don't have a problem with that, but we're trying to point out the fact, the undeniable fact, that based on what people are openly admitting online is that these programs are being abused, and that is what we are talking about. But when we talk about the abuse that's happening, the people that are over here that are saying that everybody that needs them wouldn't be using them if they didn't need to, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that maybe these systems are being abused, because then they'd actually have to unify with people that they disagree with politically. They'd actually have to come to the middle and have a conversation, which is something that they never want to do. So they have to ignore reality because they cannot have a conversation with the people that they've been led to believe are fascists and Yazis. So that's basically where that is coming from. But that's a really long intro. Let's get into what this woman said that so many people found so offensive, to the point where she actually had to issue an apology and take a break from social media and go through all of these things. So let's hear what she had to say. But before we get too much further, I'm Outspoken Samantha. I appreciate you so much for being here. Please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you so much for doing both of those things. Let's look at her video. Let's hear what she had to say.
All the people that are complaining that they're not getting their food stamps for November, what did you do with October's food stamp money? What'd you do? Did you stock up on pantry items and try to shop smartly? Or did you just go buy a bunch of processed garbage? By the way, you can thank the Democrats for the government being shut down and your benefits not coming through for November. Looks like you're going to be going to the food pantry for your Thanksgiving meal. I know a lot of food pantries hand out turkeys for Thanksgiving. All the sides and trimmings too. Lots of food pantries. You better figure it out. I'm sick of hearing you complain, honestly. You ever have this as a meal? I'm eating peanut butter and butter on toast. It's absolutely delicious. You should try it. And not for nothing, I saw this woman that said she was getting $1,100 a month in food stamps. Do you know how long I can make $1,100 in food stamps last in this house? There's two of us, but I do have my son over every once in a while, or my daughters over once in a while to eat. I feed them too, and we always got food in our house, no matter what. I would take a third job. I have two jobs. I would take a third job if I had to, just to make sure my kids ate. What are you doing for your kids besides coming on the internet and bitching that you don't have any money in your food stamps account?
So that was the whole thing. That's what she said. She's sitting there eating her toast, which again is why people are calling her the peanut butter toast food stamp lady, which is dumb. And by the way, I love toast with butter and peanut butter on it. So yummy. In fact, I might have that for lunch today. But you tell me if you think that she said anything offensive. Her take, in my opinion, was pretty mild compared to some of the other things that I've heard people say. I've heard people get on the internet and literally just go off and say, you know what? Stop yelling and screaming. Get off your butt. Go get a job. In fact, I believe I'm one of those people that have said that. But again, once you get on the wrong side of TikTok, then you end up with trolls. You end up with people harassing you, coming after you, being angry, threatening your life. I've been there. It is absolutely insane. So since she did that video, there have been so many people first making fun of what she's saying because they're completely missing the point. I've seen countless numbers of things like this. And I actually saw this video on Twitter and somebody just posted this. And without the context of the original peanut butter food stamp lady, I was like, what is going on here? But now it all makes sense. So if you see people making videos like this is why.
This message is for all my credit card companies that expect me to make another minimum payment in the month of November. What did you do with October's payment? Huh?
And here's one more, just for fun.
All the people complaining about the price of tampons. What'd you do with last month's tampons? Huh?
And people even made a South Park clip about this.
Y'all crying because your food stamps gone? Should have saved them October ones, like I said. I stretched mine. Look, still got bread left. And now I get fired just because I told the truth on here. Folks seen this video, called my boss, boom, gone.
So then we have different kinds of reactions. This woman seems to be particularly tickled about the fact that it seems like our peanut butter toast friend is a Trump supporter. So automatically that means, regardless of what she's saying, that she's just trash from, because people are so loving and tolerant. But let's hear what she had to say.
And if you go back to my other video where I tagged her, I stitched her video, and trust me, it's trash. She's trash. Black-hearted, unempathetic, typical fucking MAGA trash. But here we are. So I explained in that video that karma would find a way to find her, because it always does. And it didn't take long. Karma has found her. Karma contacted her job, and she answered. Refused to let Karma speak to her manager. So you know what Karma did? Karma contacted the owner, and then Karma contacted corporate. Corporate responded and said, we are investigating the situation because our views do not align with that. Big surprise. A big business not aligning with MAGA trash? It's always nice to see that.
Wait, so her business didn't align with her simply asking people if they were being responsible with the government assistance that they were receiving, that they are being responsible with the money that other people are giving them to live, as you usually should. If somebody else is supporting you, then they expect you to use that money responsibly. So that's not a value that her company and her business aligns with. And it is MAGA trash to expect people to use the money that they are given from other people to use it for the thing that they said they're going to use for, and to not abuse it and to not take advantage of it. That's apparently a right-wing value now. It's not a left-wing value. It's not a liberal value to be respectful with other people's money. No, that's not. It's okay. It's a left-wing value to waste it, to abuse it, to fraud the system, to abuse the system, to lie about what it is that you're using the money for. Their words, not mine. Let's go a little further because this woman is clearly unhinged.
And then I thought, okay, I'm going to go back and check this out. She has turned off the comments. And I thought, why did she just turn off the comments? Why did she just delete the video? It's causing so much havoc in her life. She needs to delete it. Well, there's another video on her page. And she talks about this big rant about how she's at risk of losing her creator fund. You know how else you lose your creator fund? Too many of your videos are reported. See you next Tuesday.
In typical liberal fashion, in being completely disconnected from reality, nobody can understand why she would turn the comments off. Because you guys are harassing her. Because you guys are sending her death threats. You guys are coming after her. These are the people that can't handle if you use the wrong pronouns, or if you have an American flag on your shirt, or if you're wearing a red hat in public. They're the ones that lose their ever-loving minds over that. If they can't understand that if you are somebody that is receiving nonstop threats and bullying and harassment, why you would turn the comments to kind of lay low until people regain their sanity or find a different target like they always do.
In case you missed it, there's this lady who made a video eating peanut butter toast talking about how she's making fun of people who have received SNAP benefits. And she's like,
just really quick, how was she making fun? You guys heard the entire video. How was she making fun of people losing their SNAP benefits? She wasn't making fun of them. In fact, I did go through several of her videos. She had a lot of videos offering help to people, giving them suggestions. And I've seen this a lot in my comments, where this store, Aldi, is actually giving people like an entire Thanksgiving meal for like $40. And she had a lot of suggestions for people on how to make what they have go a little bit further, which to me would be very helpful advice, especially if there is this potential risk of me not having as much next month as I did this month. I would appreciate people trying to help me figure out how to make what I have go a little bit further. So she's posting these videos saying, hey, this is what you can do. This store is offering a sale. This is where you can go to get extra food. This is where you can get ideas to make what you have last a little bit longer. And so I'm sure after posting those and she's still seeing people complain, she's just like, you know what, I'm tired of you guys complaining, because there are actually people that are trying to help you, including myself. Yet if you point that out to people, all these people, particularly liberals, seem to hear is that you're making fun of me. You're trying to oppress me. You're trying to make my life more difficult. You hate me. That's all they hear. You're trying to actually help them. And they're like, you're against me. You hate me.
What did you spend last month's money on?
Girl, food! They spent it on food. And then as she eats her store-bought bread, she definitely didn't make that bread herself based on the shape. And the peanut butter that is processed, she asks if they bought processed junk or if they stocked up on pantry staples. And I guess because she just lost her job, she's going to find out how absolutely ridiculous that statement is. She's about to know. Didn't she? Didn't you? God, I really hope she did. I really hope she's been out there creating an ingredient-only household.
See, and another disconnect that so many of these people have in this conversation is they assume that if you have an opinion about EBT and food stamps where people should only use it if they really need it, they should be smart with it when they have it, is that you're somebody that's never struggled. You've never been in the position of having to ask for help from other people. And that couldn't be further from the truth. My family are definitely people that have had to ask for help from others before, from our church, from friends, from family. You know, everybody goes through hard times. We've never gotten to the point of applying for food stamps, even though there have been times in our lives where we've actually had people say, hey, you know, this is a resource that's available. If you really need the help, like apply for it. There's no reason to have that burden if you don't absolutely need it. And we've gotten close to it, but we've never actually applied for that because we have been able to just get by and to make it work. And we have had times where we've had to live off peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and ramen noodles, where we've had to have the bare minimum. So this idea that if you have an opinion about EBT and food stamps, where you're just saying, hey, maybe make what you have stretch so that there is, if there is an emergency situation, you're not left with completely nothing, that's coming from a place of, oh, you've never had to struggle before, is just another completely ridiculous and insane take. And it's making excuses for people to abuse the system. You just want to ignore the blatant fact that people are misusing and abusing this system. And that is what we have a problem with. So this is the last video that I will share on this. But again, this gets to the last point of irony that we need to discuss. So we have another angry liberal woman pretty much excited about the fact that this friend of ours that made this video, the peanut butter toast lady, that she may have lost her job.
Hey, food stamp lady, eating your toast and your peanut butter. How are you feeling today after you felt like coming on the internet and telling everyone that is on food stamps that, what did you do with your money from October? How about maybe they bought food? There's people with disabilities. There's elderly people. There's not just people just like, you know, sucking the system dry of taxpayer money. There's actual people that need food stamps in order.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep interrupting, but this is just another typical liberal tactic, is to exploit the people that are actually in pain, the people that are actually struggling, to excuse everybody else that uses it when they don't need it or uses something that is not an emergency situation. And we see this in pretty much like everything that the left stands for. They exploit people that are actually struggling and in probably the worst possible circumstances to justify everybody else that is not using something for the right reasons. And we see this particularly in cases of schmabortion, if I have to self-censor on YouTube, but, you know, where they point to the biggest crises in, you know, the worst possible circumstances of women being traumatized and abused and whatever, and maybe actually having at least some level of justification for needing those services, even though I'm 100% pro-life. But they use those to justify the 99% of women that use it just as birth control, basically.
To survive. There's women that have battled domestic violence and they've gotten out of a relationship and they didn't have a job and they need the food stamps to get back on their feet. To say something so, well, first of all, congratulations. You lost your job and I'm glad you did, because now you can eat your own words. What are you going to do?
So that's where the irony comes in. So, like over the last month or so, month and a half, where we've seen all of these people celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk and getting online and then screaming and complaining about losing their jobs over that. They're like, people have free speech. You're infringing on my First Amendment rights. People should be able to say whatever they want. And basically, we're reminding them that, of course, your words have consequences. Your employer has the right to decide who they do and do not want to employ. Like I said, I don't know for sure if this woman lost her job. I haven't seen a confirmation of that. Maybe that's just something that leftists are making up because that's all they know how to do. And if her employer felt the need to fire her for that, to me, it would not be because they disagree with her, but it's because they don't want to risk the safety of other employers or of other employees because of all the bullying and harassment that they are likely receiving because of this, because liberals just feel like that's just something that they always do. And it's just that stark contrast between, we don't call your employer if you have an opinion about a particular issue or a policy or something like that. This was literally about you guys being so sick and twisted in the head where you were celebrating the public, brutal, disgusting unaliving of an innocent man. And that makes you a sick and twisted human being. And your employer might want to know if they are employing somebody that depraved. But this woman just said, hey, maybe if you are getting food stamps, just be as responsible with it as you possibly can be. And even in that same video said, hey, you might have to go to a food pantry to get your Thanksgiving meal. Even in her own video, she was offering another solution for people. But because it's something that the left didn't want to hear, that is their baseline for calling your employer and getting you fired. Yet they were yelling and screaming and saying that people should still be employed for mocking the public death of an innocent person. It just seems like every day they wake up and they're like, how can we be worse than we were yesterday? How can we be more evil and depraved? How can we be more disconnected from reality? How can we demonstrate a higher level of delusion? How can we be more hypocritical than we were yesterday? That seems to be the thought process of like every single person on the left. So to this woman who posted this video, I 100% agree with every single thing that you said. I completely understand the point that you were trying to make, and I'm sorry that you have found yourself on the wrong side of the internet. And like I said, there are a lot of people that have expressed views about this particular issue that were far more direct and firm and even aggressive than what she said. She just happened to find herself in the middle of the trolls on TikTok. And she even had to go on this other guy's podcast and and apologize, basically saying, I didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. You didn't hurt people's feelings. You triggered people whose feelings are hurt by everything except for what they should be upset about. They're triggered by things that are normal. But when it comes to things that they should be outraged about, those are the things that they're completely fine with. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. As you guys know, we always end with a clip of Charlie Kirk. So keep it real, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Something that kind of has me like on the fence of whether or not I go kind of like full blown more like conservative or moderate. But something that like I've seen and just reading things from like Candace Owens and seeing how like welfare has like really like destroyed like the family unit. I see that, we're starting to save a lot of money from things such as like Doge and what they're doing to minimize government. But do you think that some of that money should go back to maybe like reforming the way that welfare is done to help poorer families who do want to kind of pursue that American dream?
I think, great question. The number one objective of any social welfare program should be, how do we keep the family together and put dads back in the family? Yes. That is the number one priority. We don't have to overthink it. Every number gets better for every community if dads are around. Every number gets worse when dads are not around. Unfortunately, in the black community, dads are the most absent of any community. About 2/3 of all black youth will be raised without a stable father around. And I know it's crazy, right? And that little precious angel of yours deserves to have a father around. And, for daughters and for sons, it's different things. For a daughter, that's a father figure to look up to say that is how a man should act and someone that I ought to one day marry, someone that will protect me from a vicious world, and someone that makes me understand what strength and not brutality looks like, what justice but not revenge looks like. To have a father figure is a silent way of forming a child to be a mature citizen. And unfortunately, as we've removed dads from families, government has come in and has taken the place. So some people need help and they need social assistance. All of that should be about incentivizing the dad staying around.